Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet,
saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Greetings out there all across this great republic of ours and around the world. It's that time, once again, time for the Conservative Syndicate. We're glad to have you with us today. And we are going to continue a little bit last night, what we started yesterday, regarding what I am referring to as the Pelosi principle. And you'll remember if you were listening yesterday that I was talking about how Nancy Pelosi seems to be of the opinion or the belief that if you take money from the rich and give it to the poor, and then at some point in time you quit taking that money from the rich and giving it to the poor, then you are actually practicing wealth redistribution. Okay? That's the liberal mindset. You know, we talk about that often on this show, the liberal mindset. If you're taking from the rich and giving to the poor, and then all of a sudden you quit taking from the rich and giving to the poor, you're actually redistributing that wealth back to the rich from whence it came. And that is the whole premise of understanding how liberalism, Keynesian economics, and the entire progressive agenda is operating these days. It boggles my mind sometimes. It boggles my mind. Anyway, so we're going to talk and discuss everything that we do within that concept, within that precept here. Of course, today, the big news is, outside of the travel restrictions being stopped once again by lower courts in Hawaii and Maryland, is the budget. Donald Trump has submitted his budget, some big cuts in State Department agencies, EPA, and a whole long list of people who have been living off the government teat for decades now, and just simply Donald Trump is saying, no more. We're just not going to do these things anymore. We're not going to fund these things anymore. Why should American taxpayers be paying for Big Bird? You know, remember Big Bird came up sometime a while back? I think it had to do with, it was a while back. I remember it, and it probably had something to do with the budget cut. I think it was during one of our great government shutdown debacles. And they were talking about the Republicans were saying, we got to cut some money or whatever, and Big Bird was being held hostage or something like that. Well, apparently Donald Trump is thinking along the same lines, and he's like, you know what? We're going to cut out funding to NPR and PBS, some of these liberally run networks out there. Quit using the taxpayer dollars for indoctrination and social engineering. So it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. Anyway, let me get my partner in crime back from life. I had somebody ask me today, you know, I was out at the gym today, first time I'm making the gym in the last week. And people, hey man, where you been? Where you been? I said, life. Life just has a tendency sometimes to just stick itself right in your face and keep you from doing the things you'd rather do, having to do the things you need to do. How you doing today, Joe?
Good, John. And today, on the afternoon version of This Is Life, this is John Matthews and Joe Hakos here. We're here. We're going to discuss on how everybody feels about today's Obama announcement, or not Obama announcement, pardon me. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's new budgetary policies and how he's going to go ahead and not fund the National Endowment for the Arts. So, once again, we're going to calmly discuss that here on today's edition of This Is Life.
Otherwise known as the stomach turns.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, you're just going to have to get over this. Hey, you know what? If you think you can survive, get out there and survive. Let's see how you work out. I mean, because, why should we have to subsidize your BS? I don't know if you've watched any public television lately, especially on the weekends, even on the ones that you used to be able to watch and you can pretty much count on it, be somewhat okay. Even on like the home improvement shows that they have on there. Now it's turned into or the shows about automobiles. It's turned into this green initiatives programming. It's like everything's got to be green. We got to do this green. Yes, we think you should spend $600 more on this item because it's green when you can buy the old-fashioned version of it that does it manually, and but you'll burn more oil. And we must take care of the planet here because today on This Is Life, we must take care of our planet. So please join us today and send some of us your hard-earned money because we can't afford to budget ourselves and expect to go ahead and become profitable. So please send us money every 5 minutes. Send us $1 or $2 here. And if you'd like to be another kind of contributor, we'll actually send you a 50-cent CD and we'll let you pay $150 for it. But you'll get 17 songs on it. Congratulations. You'll feel good about yourself because of programming like this and other programming that you enjoy here on public television.
Yeah, I the only time I used to watch PBS, I quit doing it just because of what you say, what you were telling us here. But I used to watch it during their fundraising telethons because that's when they had some really cool programming, like the Celtic Women, or the River Dance. They bring out these things for fundraising, and they get people. Yeah, and like you said, send us $250, and we'll send you a DVD that you could buy for $14 in the store.
Yeah.
And then after the telethon is over, you don't see those programs again until the next telethon. Everything else is, as you said, Sesame Street and how to save the planet, how to save the whales. I watched. It's like National Geographic channels doing the same thing. Everything they do now.
It's worse than that now.
Huh?
It's worse than that now. Now, John, it's not only is it save the planet and save Sesame Street and all this other stuff. Now it's the American experience. How the black people in America have been screwed by the white man for decades and centuries. So now we're going to tell you all about how the white man is a bad man. And we're going to have black people come on and tell us all about it. But they're cool because they're here on PBS.
Yeah, well, I watched one over the weekend at National Geographic, which I thought was really... It was just comedic because I think I mentioned it briefly on the show yesterday. It was
we're not paying for that, John. They're not tax dollars on National Geographic Channel.
Well, it's like, remember when it used to be cool to watch Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau? Well, his son has taken over for him now, and everything that Jacques Cousteau Jr., whatever, I think his name is Philippe Cousteau. Everything that he talks about is global warming and saving the planet and saving the whales. It's not about going out and looking and studying the science of oceanography and seeing.
I'm glad you mentioned that because today, I just barely got to see the press conference today, and obviously it's after the budget director Mulvaney was on after. The press conference was after that, but it had some doofus on talking about the budget cuts and everything, and how if we don't do this, the Great Barrier Reef is being destroyed by global warming and the seas, and we're just not going to have any oceans if we don't pay for it now in the budget.
I know. Well, yeah, it was funny because as I'm surfing through the channels today, the same thing. I'm listening to Fox News had on conflicting commentators on Trump's budget. And, of course, the liberal guy was just talking point, down the line, verbatim. This is just an example of just another president that is not fulfilled any of his promises in the 50 days that he's been in office, and it has no intention of doing it, and how his budget is just going to screw all over middle America, how Obamacare is going to push Granny off the cliff, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, here we go, all over again, the same crap.
Yep.
Just recycled, man. Nancy Pelosi comes out and says, what? Well, this is how she put it. She says, this is about a philosophical distrust of the role of the federal government in meeting the needs of the American people. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It is about a philosophical distrust. And those of us who have advocated for some of it are the harshest critics to make sure that those investments accomplish what they set out to do. So we don't have any argument about saying, okay, are we getting our money's worth for what we need to do for the American people? But that's not what this is about. This is systematic deconstruction of the federal government and its roles. And I say, you finally figured it out, Nancy.
Hey. Yeah, let's do it.
You figured it out. That's exactly what this is. This is what Trumpism is all about. The systematic
go back to sleep, Nancy.
It is about the systematic deconstruction of the federal government and its role. Exactly.
What drain the swamp didn't you even understand?
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump couldn't have said that any better. So,
in fact, I got to tweet that out again.
Yeah, I will. In fact, as a matter of fact, but we got to go to a break right now. We'll be back. But I got so much stuff I want to say today. My mouth is going in overdrive. We'll be right back, guys. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
We're not arguing. We're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
That America must put its own citizens first, because only then can we truly make America great again.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right. All right, we're back here at the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I want to get into this. Those of you who caught the show yesterday, we breached this topic. And everything that we can talk about in terms of what's happening right now and the direction this is going, the opposition from both the Democrats and the Republicans against Donald Trump's agenda and his plans and what he wants to do to make America great again, can all be based on the Pelosi principle. And I broke this article to you yesterday at CNS News by who was it here? Okay, Terrence Jeffrey. All right, Terrence Jeffrey. Now, also quoting from CNS News. Let me keep this thing as close as I can in context, so I can get Joe's opinion here too without me rambling on and becoming repetitive. I mentioned just before the break, Nancy Pelosi has come out against the budget proposal by Donald Trump, and her argument is that it's a philosophical distrust of the role of federal government. And she goes on to say that this is systematic deconstruction of the federal government and its role. She talks about in this other article from CNS News, basically what she's saying is the Republicans are so ideological about deconstructing government. And what's sad about it, one of the biggest differences between Democrats and Republicans is we really do want to work in a bipartisan way. Well, before we all, wet our pants laughing at this, she's actually telling us the truth. Think about this. It is now a bipartisan effort to expand federal government. But the difference is who gets credit for doing it. Democrats want to do it through open progressivism, democratic socialism, Marxism, socialism, even communism. The Republicans want to do it a different way. They want to do it through stealth globalism. They want to keep their supporters and their contributors wealthy at the expense of the American people. See, I'm not against the argument that perhaps there are wealthy people in this country that are taking advantage of laws and are greedy people. I wouldn't argue with that. I know a lot of poor people that are greedy people too. So, greed is not something that can be measured in terms of how it affects somebody. It can be measured in terms of monetary, but that's an irrelevant argument. But my point being is Pelosi's saying that because the Republicans are touting this ideology that the government shouldn't be as involved in people's lives as it is. And that's not even a true description or depiction of what the Republican Party is today. That's the point I'm making. But it is the essential argument of the Democrat Party about Republicans, because the battle, again, is not over the expansion of government. The battle is over what gets expanded in government and who gets credit for it. So let's keep things within this proper perspective as we see today. The proper contemporary perspective is there is nobody in government that wants to actually govern according to what the constituents and the people that elect them want them to do. That's
how about we govern according to what the Constitution says the government should be doing? Yeah. that would just be a marvelous idea.
Yeah, it would be the greatest idea, because that is what would bring about the reform necessary to get this government back into the entire idea that we are a republic, that we have a constitution, that we have a balance and a separation of powers, and that all these things have to learn their place, that the governors, the people that are governing, are placed there by those who are governed to represent us, not to represent what they think we want, but to represent what we actually want. And we're talking about representing citizens. We're not talking about representing non-citizens.
Or people that might be citizens, but there's special interests that have given my campaign coffers quite a bit of money, so I need to help them.
Right, exactly. So the Pelosi principles I pointed out yesterday is that if the government lets you keep your property, it's depriving somebody else of taking it. That's the essence of the Pelosi principle. I mentioned it to you earlier. She argues that any diminution in the amount of money the government takes from Tom, being the rich guy, and gives to Harry is, in fact, a transfer of wealth from Harry to Tom. What she's saying is, if we're taking from the rich, and that's the progressive thing, the rich people can afford and are morally obligated to take care of the poor. And therefore, if we are taking money from the rich to give to the poor. And
can I just say this right there?
Yeah.
We're not morally obligated as a government to take care of anybody, except the government is there to protect us from foreign invasions and attacks.
And a step further, it's there to protect us from them, the government.
Oh, well, that's what our certain amendments are supposed to do to our Constitution. Right. But, Nancy's got this a little backwards here.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's why it's called progressivism. Even the idea of progressivism, she refers to the Republican ideology. Again, I want to clarify this, guys. We're only talking about the Republican paradigm within the concept of it being a tactical and strategical a strategy, not a reality. We're going to talk about the Republicans as being in favor of the rich at the expense of the poor. That is the narrative. That is
yeah. And the Dems don't do that at all. Really?
yeah, exactly. When we know, in fact, look at Nancy Pelosi herself.
Yes.
Okay. Who has benefited more from the wealthy than Nancy Pelosi? Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. We can go down the list of all these people that have held positions in Congress, positions of leadership for decades, and you can point to what? The fact that they really are capitalists. They're just doing it through a progressive ideology. Now, the Republicans are not into progressivism per se. They don't call it that. They're more into globalism. All right, which is just progressivism on a global scale. Okay, now, so this whole idea, even the Democrats, we say, well, Democrats are globalists. Not necessarily. They just use, again, everything the Democrats use is just a means to an end. It doesn't mean they necessarily adhere to it. It's that it is strategically to their advantage, strategic advantage to do that. Lack of transparency is a distinct political advantage. Jonathan Gruber. All right?
So says Jonathan Gruber.
Yeah, so says Jonathan Gruber. And actually, true. It's actually very true. Okay, now, so we have Pelosi telling us that, one, the Republicans want to dismantle government, which means it's destroying the role of government. And now, when you hear those words, if you're a liberal, or if you're somebody with the IQ, you got the IQ below seaweed, or you're somebody that doesn't really pay attention to what's going on, you hear those words and you think, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We can't allow that. We can't allow that. That's not what it's all about. Deconstructing the government means limiting the government as it was designed through our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence, our founding documents. That's what it's all about. Conservatives believe that that's what we should adhere to. Democrats believe we should change it when necessary. Republicans, who knows what they believe? We know what they say, but seldom do they practice what they say. Anyway, going into just taking this a little bit farther here, and then I want to get Joe's remarks on this. So, the idea is that by taking care, by repealing and replacing Obamacare, basically what the Republicans are doing is they are implementing the biggest transfer of wealth in our history, because the rich are supposed to be the ones paying for Obamacare. Okay, and since we're now going to give, and here again is the lie, tax cuts to the rich through Obamacare. That is not even close to what's happening. The premise of Obamacare replacement, the American Health Care Act, is simply this. Premiums are going to be charged based on age rather than income. That is the basic premise from which everything is working. So, if somebody who's rich and is paying $1 gazillion a year for insurance coverage all of a sudden only has to pay $500 gazillion for insurance coverage, then what we're doing is we're actually redistributing $500 gazillion that they were using to pay for somebody who can't afford it, and we're giving it back to the person from whence it came. That is wrong. That's morally wrong. And it's going to do what? It's going to drive people out of insurance. They're not going to be able to get insurance. They're going to lose. That's the narrative. They're going to lose their coverage. And then when you look at the facts, CBO comes out and says, 14 million people will lose health care by the year 2018. They then go on to clarify, but those are not really losses. Those are actually choices. People who are not mandated to buy insurance will quit buying it because they're not being forced to buy it. That is not a tax cut to the rich, first of all. That is a reduction in cost to the rich for the same thing that everybody else buys. But the whole switch, the bait and switch here is what? That the rich will not be funding the poor. Therefore, we are redistributing that money that we took back to the rich. And how wicked and evil is that?
Yes, because, your money's never really your money. Your money's the government's money until the government says you're allowed to have this much of your money, which is actually their money.
Yeah, well, let's remember. I remember as I was going over this article today and just kind of digesting it. You remember back in 2008 at the Saddleback Forum, Barack Obama and John McCain appeared with Rick Warren out here in Saddleback Church.
Yes.
And during the course of the conversation, Rick Warren asked him, how much is too much? They were talking about money, about the fact that, everybody needs to pay their fair share, yada, yada, yada. Tax system we need to tax the rich more. And Obama had said something along the lines, he was talking within the context of, because the rich basically have too much money. They're making too much money. See, CEOs are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and getting stock and everything else. And Warren asked him, how much is too much? And Barack Obama shot back, well, I guess if you sell 23 million books a year, that might be too much. But, referring to Rick Warren, who has sold innumerable number of his books, The Purpose-Driven Life, which, by the way, is a total scam. I read it. It's a total scam. It's part of that charismatic crap that's out there right now. Anyway, so that's the Pelosi principle. From there, we can base everything else that we're talking about, and as long as you digest that one thought, taking money from the rich is wealth redistribution. Taking money that came from the rich and giving it back to them, that is also wealth redistribution, but that is worse. than giving it to the poor. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Are you behind on your taxes? The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote at 800-790-4294. 800-790-4294.
You know, sometimes when you compare prices on products, you think to yourself, what difference does it make? The rates are all about the same anyway, but sometimes the rates are very different. Let me give you an example where there's a huge difference in pricing between companies. Vehicle protection plans. Look, if your car is 4 years or older, having a vehicle protection plan is a no-brainer. The trick is not to overpay for it. Here are the facts. The average price of a vehicle protection plan is $2,800, while the price of a TOCO warranty vehicle protection plan for most vehicles is just $1,500. The average down payment on a vehicle protection plan is $299. With TOCO warranty, there's no down payment. The average monthly payment on a vehicle protection plan is more than $160 a month. With TOCO, the average monthly payment is just $49. To get a highly rated vehicle protection plan at a great low rate, call TOCO Warranty at 1-800-987-1519. That's 1-800-987-1519. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for MyPillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. MyPillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable MyPillow is with its patented interlocking fill. MyPillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. MyPillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. MyPillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. MyPillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code RedState. That's 1-800-961-9194, promo code RedState. Put sleepless nights behind you with MyPillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you, and they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Are you struggling with addiction or alcohol problems? If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help, and your insurance may offer coverage.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573, 800-518-1573.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573, 800-518-1573.
Red State Talk Radio. Real radio for real Americans.
My job is not to represent the world. My job is to represent the United States of America.
Am I not speaking English? The ConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American.
All right. We're back here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and getting into Trump's budget here. Like I said, just try to keep the concept we've been talking about here up until this point. The Pelosi principle, which is that if we're taking money from the rich to give to the poor and we cease to take that money, we are actually redistributing wealth back to the wealthy. And that is morally just not good. Not good.
It's morally reprehensible, according to Nancy Pelosi. Now, let's just remember, the Republicans aren't about limiting the size and scope of government either, because if you look at their recent past, they aren't about limiting our national debt or decreasing our deficit or anything else. They like to spend money just like the Democrats do. Just they want to spend it in different places.
Yeah, and have more control over how it's spent. It's just a matter. The big debate here is how are we going to expand government and who's going to be in control when we do it. That's all it's about. It's not about downsizing government or anything else. How many times have we heard the Republicans every election cycle? You all get the solicitation letters out there. Oh yeah, you get all the survey letters. What do you want us to do? And you fill out the survey and then send them some money, and nothing ever gets done. But every campaign season, it's the same thing. Yes, we're going to downsize government, and it never happens. Never even comes close. And that's what the discussion is going on right now with this budget. I watched the news circuit today, and it's all about, all the commentators, all the experts, all the people that were wrong about the election in the first place are now trying to explain to us how Trump's not going to get the budget that he wants.
Yeah, exactly. Here, let me give you an example of what John is talking about. Joseph, as a valued conservative, we want to offer you an early access to an incredible opportunity, a contest to have dinner with President Donald J. Trump. Contribute $10 today for a chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Washington, D.C. on March 21st for a dinner with President Trump.
Oh, see, they're copying the Obama thing. I used to get those all the time. Have lunch with Barack Obama, with Barack and Michelle Obama, with Barack, Michelle, and Joe Biden. And with Barack Obama, Michelle, and Joe and Jill Biden. It's like, okay, throw in $5. Yeah, okay, yeah. And you every single day, 3-4 times a day, from 5 different organizers out there. Everyone from Jim Messina to Muhammad. It's just, yeah. And that's the whole thing here. Anyway, before I get off on another rant here. Budget proposals.
Yes, budget.
Yeah, let's do this, okay? Trump's budget, he wants to cut off funding entirely for several agencies, including arts, public broadcasting. We talked about at the beginning of the show. Things like NPR, PBS. Why in the world government is allowed to fund those things, I'll never begin to understand. Anyways, you would think the First Amendment hey, I know. The First Amendment should set up a wall of separation between state and media. All right? If we're sitting here talking about free speech, then free speech in the context of the fact that media should not be bought and paid for by the state. Because if it's bought and paid for by the state, it's like federal money going to our respective states. You're now allowed to mandate and determine what's being put on the airways. Why do people ask me, why is the media so liberal? Because they're bought and paid for. That's why. Okay, now, so he's talking about, let's go into the actual department cuts here. Health and Human Services, the department that handles Obamacare or the Health Care Replacement Act, the what is it? American Health Care Act, I think that's what it's called. AHA, American Health Act. That's what it is.
Just call it Rhino Care. It's Rhino Care. It's repeal in name only.
Yeah, okay. So we'll call it Ryan. I like Ryan Care better. We'll call it Ryan Care, okay? Ryan Care And so what they want to do there is they want to face Obama. Trump wants to cut the budget to that particular department by $12.6 billion. That's a 16.2 decrease. Now you know why the Nancy Pelosi's are out there telling us we're giving that money back to the rich. No, we're not. We're not giving that money to anybody. It's not your money to give, all right? Environmental Protection Agency, $2.6 billion. I think that's way too low. It's a 31.4% decrease, but it's not enough. The EPA needs to be completely abolished, needs to be just put to bed. Here's the one that really gets me, and this is the one I think I'm going to watch the closest. State Department, $11 billion or 28.7%. Now, why am I paying attention to this? Because a lot of this money is money that goes out in foreign aid. That's where a lot of this money goes. And guess who is already saying this is a bad deal? Mr. Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader in the GOP Senate, came out today and said, I'm all for the cuts, but I don't know about this cutting the foreign spending. I don't know why. Well, why would he? When his wife is the head of the Department of Commerce and has ties direct to places like China? Yeah, see, Mitch McConnell and people like him, these are the neocons. These are the globalists within the Republican Party. These are the ones that want that ability to use their influence as congressional leaders for their own personal gain. So
I mean, let's reduce the money we have to pay to, I don't know, places like the UN and things. Why do we have to cover those costs? Why do we have to cover a lot of this stuff that's over for our allies and stuff? Why do we have to give Mexico $49 million a year?
Yeah, well, I know the one I heard on one of the shows this morning was there's a huge chunk of money going to the African Development Program. And now I don't know what that entails. I don't know if it's, save the chimpanzees or whatever. But the point being is that why are we putting so much money into a nation like Africa? We have we don't even have political interest there.
Well, let's say that a little bit a different way. Why are we giving these nations in Africa taxpayer dollars?
Yeah, and well, that's really what it is. We got to keep it in perspective.
Why do the taxpayers in Kansas have to pay for whatever's going on in Uganda?
Well, why are we giving money to countries like Iran? Why are we giving money to countries like Syria? Why are we giving money to countries that we're also sending troops over there to fight terrorists in?
Yes, thank you. Exactly. Why are we using hard-earned taxpayer dollars and we're sending it? That, my friends, is not in the Constitution. Show me where that's in the Constitution, and I'll gladly support it.
Yeah, so here's my pitch. The State Department is probably the one that is the most saturated with special interests because it does deal with things on a global scale. And we know that from things like the Uranium One deal with Hillary Clinton and stuff, that is a very influential department. The money flows to the State Department for the back and forth that goes on with commerce and everything else on a global scale. And I just think, I think they should cut it even more. But $11 billion, I guess, is a good start. All right, now, Agriculture Department, $5 billion. I'm not really too sure what that entails. I haven't looked at that so far. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, I didn't even know they were still around. I thought we got rid of them after, like, World War II or Vietnam or something. I didn't know they were still around.
Who do you think was looking at the dam in Oroville, California, John?
Oh, is that who that was? Okay. Everyone looking at it?
Well, they were looking at it, and they had their help from their California counterparts. But yeah.
Okay, so what were they, like the Federal Oversight Committee to the people that were supposed to be inspecting that dam and never did?
They were expecting the California guys to bring them coffee in the morning.
Okay, all right. So those are some of the major departments. Okay, the National Institute of Health, I don't even know what that is. Okay, let's see here. What else we got here? Department of Commerce. Here we go. Department of Education. There's one. There's one that needs to go. Housing and Urban Development, HUD. Ben Carson's new gig. Department of Transportation, Department of Interior. All these are agencies that have become bureaucracies that funnel money back and forth, special interests. And when we talk, especially to me, Department of Education is a pet peeve of mine, because I think education needs to go back into the hands of the state. We need to cut that, even taking tax dollars for this. Just quit taking these tax dollars and let the states deal with their respective citizens or residents as to whether they want to pay money into a public school system. And if so,
here's what I like, John. Here's what I like. Program cut. Cease payments to the United Nations climate change programs for the Green Climate Fund and precursor funds. Yeah, I think we should stop paying that.
Yeah, I think along that line, $250 million cut by zeroing out the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. You know who those guys are, right? These are the guys that are spearheading global warming. These are the guys that are putting out all these models and studies that tell us that, yes, climate change is man-made and the sky is going to fall and we're all going to burn up tomorrow if we can't figure out a way to regulate the sun.
Yeah, and you know who NOAA works with? They're run by the Department of Commerce.
Yeah, okay, all right. So the programs within these departments, that's what we're talking about now. The USDA Water and Wastewater Loan and Grant Program, $498 million there. If we were recycling water out here in California, we wouldn't have had to deal with this false narrative that we have a drought out here, by the way, which, by the way, has been officially declared over by everybody but Governor Brown.
I just remember seeing a picture of a Donner Pass of a Jeep that was buried in 20 feet of snow. They didn't even know it was there.
Yeah. Well, I can guarantee you the drought out here is over, and everybody knows it, and everybody acknowledges it, except Governor Moonbeam, who's still. Like, of course, he's using recycled water now for his bong. So,
yeah, I'm sure he is.
All right, so
it's medicinal purposes only, though. Yeah, I like that. Cuts federal subsidies to Amtrak and eliminates support for Amtrak's long-distance services.
That's going to piss off Harry Reid, man. That's where he was going to make his money after he retired. We're going to have that. We're going to have that Amtrak line straight from the big Filipino centers out here in California to Las Vegas. All right. So, anyway, hey, look, we got to go to break. Yesterday I actually got so into what I was talking about, I forgot about the break altogether. So let's do it now. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right, we're back here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And hey, let's just take a deep breath here just for a second. We're talking about the list here of proposed cuts by Donald Trump. And just, as I'm looking over this list, just looking over the list, I mean, just without even looking at it in terms of what is happening here, where the dollars are going, just the idea that I'm looking at this list of all these departments, all these programs, and all these other programs that Donald Trump wants to just cut out altogether. And there must be, 40 or 50 on this list of programs that he just wants to eliminate. And as I'm looking at it, I'm going, does this not in and of itself just indicate to us just how expansive government has become? That they are sticking their hands into everything. And if that in and of itself doesn't send a warning up your spine that we have allowed our tax dollars to be used for the expansion of government, for the gain of those we have elected, to actually not allow this to happen, that in and of itself should just want you to throw every single person in Congress out of office. I don't care who they are, because whether or not they're for it or against it, everybody that's in Congress right now has been in long enough that they could have voted against this stuff. But the point is, the fact that they know it, that in and of itself to me is condemning. I'm a big fan of some of the people that are in Congress, Mike Lee and Ted Cruz. I'm really developing a fast affection for Rand Paul, somebody I used to think was a little bit of a wingnut. But I'm looking at this guy now and I'm thinking, maybe not, that kind of stuff. Starting to look at some of these guys and thinking, we got some real Cotton. What's his name? Cotton down from Arkansas.
Tom Cotton.
Yeah, Tom Cotton. He's looking pretty good these days. Anyway, the point being is that just looking at this list, and I'm thinking, if you want to know why the government or why the United States has become so involved in everybody else's business, it's because we are investing in everybody else's crap. Not businesses, they're crap. They're social programs,
I mean, speaking of crap, the National Endowment for the Arts, where crap is art.
Yeah, well, look at this. I mentioned earlier Africa. I found it here. The African Development Foundation.
I don't know what that is.
What the hell is that?
I don't know what that is.
Hey, you know what? While I'm talking here, Joe, see if you can Google that for me real quick. Let's find out what the African Development Foundation is.
Okay.
All right. Community Development Block Grant, which in part funds Meals on Wheels. This is one of the things that are going to be touted out here. This is the one, I heard it already.
Here's the African Development Foundation, right?
Okay.
It's an independent U.S. government agency established by Congress to support and invest in African-owned and led enterprises which improve lives and livelihoods in poor and vulnerable African communities.
Okay, so
it's great, Congress. Why can't you do that to improve the lives and livelihoods in poor and vulnerable Appalachian communities, or I don't know, Los Angeles communities, or I don't know, maybe St. Louis communities?
Yeah, so it's like a global welfare program.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think hey, I remember this term somebody said before. America first.
Yeah, what does it say in what you're looking at there? What kind of money they get?
No, I didn't get to that part,
Okay,
John.
all right, no problem,
This is just the splash page where you have to hit enter, and once you enter here, I'm afraid to enter this, John.
Okay, all right, well, let's move down here. The Community Development Block Grant, which in part funds Meals on Wheels. Now, this is already being floated. See? The Republicans want to
starve the poor people. You want to starve the poor people.
Oh, no, they want to starve the elderly. That's what Meals on Wheels is about. Meals on Wheels is taking meals to the elderly that can't go out and get a meal on their own. And the portion of money that goes into that funding, even by their own admission, I listened to this guy rant about this morning, that, oh, yeah, this is what the Republicans want to do. They want to starve the old people. And he's like... And so the commentator or the news reporter said, yeah, but the amount of money that goes into that is so little because Meals on Wheels is privately funded. It's a charity that draws on donations. Well, that doesn't make any difference that it's not a lot of money. It just shows us how discompassionate and evil the Republicans are. That was the response. They want to take away those meals for those old people, that kind of thing. My favorite one out of this group that I'm seeing so far is the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Again, there should be somebody somewhere down the line here should have said, if we're into separation of church and state, we should be into separation of state and media. And the idea that we're giving money to broadcast. I mean, this is our own version of Al Jazeera, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Okay, state-funded media. Are you, how, if I came to you and said, I know you got a station, and I know that, right now you're just doing local stuff. You're just doing stuff in the little local neighborhood here. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a bunch of money so that you can expand your reach and you can expand your audience. And thank you so much. So why? Well, we really believe in what you're doing. We just believe totally in what you're doing and your goals to reach out and touch our community. By the way, we have a list of things that we want you to reach out and touch the community with. And that's going to come with the money. I mean, who's going to bite the hand that feeds them? And so the idea that Sesame Street back in the day when it first came out was, I think, legitimate. I remember my kids watching Sesame Street, and they learned the alphabet, and they learned how to count and things like that. You watch it now, it's about how to save the trees. What the hell is that? I could teach my kids how to save the trees. Okay, don't cut the trees down. All right?
Yes, the trees are your friend. Don't hurt them.
All right, trees produce oxygen. Trees produce green gas. But by the way, green gas is bad too. Now,
that's right, because we now got the Global Climate Change Initiative that we want to go ahead and zero out.
Yeah, and that's another one. Like, yeah, let's get rid of that. Why don't we treat climate change, global climate change initiative, as the fact that one of the biggest causes for the world warming up is the hot air coming out of Washington, D.C. every time one of these idiots open their mouth to tell us we need to do something about it.
Yeah. Hey, we should go to a break then, John.
Yeah, we're at the break time here. Ron Edwards, pay some bills. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Oh, my goodness. So the statist Republicans trotted out Obamacare Light. I feel it is yet another insult to the American people. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, so now we, the people, are possibly being forced to wait indefinitely before there will be any serious tax cuts because the powers that be decided not to cut one single tax until after Obamacare is replaced. One of the excuses used to drag the process out is certain Senate procedure rules. And also, if Obamacare is totally brought up for a vote, then the progressives like Chucky Schumer will filibuster and prevent any progress. To that I say bunk. Because if they would have done a better job of defending the medical marketplace when Ali Obama was foisting his socialist health-damaging system upon us, perhaps the dilemma they now refer to wouldn't be occurring now. So basically, this drip, drip, drip approach will do little to relieve the burden now faced by the average American who has to endure it, unlike Congress and President Trump, who enjoy a far superior form of health care. Meanwhile, this Step 1, Step 2, Step 3 approach kicks needed tax reductions further down the road. Those midterm elections will be very interesting, to say the least. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
Middle America doesn't have an anger problem. It's got an idiot problem. The Conservative Syndicate, doing our part to eradicate the disease of idiocracy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. You
can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And hey, listen, I got to tell you here. I don't know what it is. I just do not know what it is about Republicans that they don't know how to read the fine print, or they don't choose to read the fine print. I'm not sure. But, you know, I was just looking at some of the things here over the break here. A couple of the agencies here, some of these programs that Donald Trump wants to eliminate, because I wanted to know what they were. I've never heard of them before. We'll cover that in just a minute. But I want to take a minute here just to talk about the latest event involving the repeal and replacement of Obamacare. All right, today it made the Obamacare repeal made it through another committee. All right.
Yep.
All right. Now, it's a budget committee, I believe it is. Let me see. Here it is. Let's see. What's the actual committee here? The budget committee, representatives, the House of Representatives Budget Committee on Thursday. 3 Republicans on this committee voted against it. Good for them. Representative Mark Sanford, Dave Bratt of Virginia, and Gary Palmer of Alabama voted against the overhaul of the nation's health care system crafted by House Speaker Paul Ryan. Ryan Care. That's what we'll call it from now on. The bill passed 19-17. Now, I want to quote you here. One of the arguments, 2 of the arguments it's making here, Diane Black, who is the budget committee chairwoman from Tennessee, told reporters after the markup that she believed the House leadership would be open to her committee's suggested changes. Before the vote, the changes that they're looking for is more tax credits for the poor. That's what the committee people want. Tom McClintock, which I'm really surprised, is in favor of granting more tax credits to the poor. He says, without it, I don't think you'll get this through the Senate. I understand.
Why don't they just call it more subsidies?
Yeah. So, you can do that. In fact, later on in the show here, where I'm going, I'm glad you said that, Joe, because that's where we're going to go here. This little evolutionary discussion that we're having today is I'm going to define for you some of the things that are going on and some of the narratives that are going to be out there about things like subsidies, tax credits, tax deductions, how they've been redefined. But back to my point here. So Diane Black, Budget Committee Chairwoman, says that there's a discussion from some of the committee members that there need to be some changes, primarily more tax credits to the poor. Tom McClintock says you won't get this through the Senate like this unless you're able to grant more assistance to the poor. All right? I understand the concept. I don't agree with it, though. I don't think it's practical because that's not what Donald Trump was elected to do. Now, she says, I cannot sit idly by and let this opportunity pass. She's telling these guys, we got to vote this through. We have an opportunity to do something here. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong, good or bad. We have an opportunity to do something. Comes back to the narrative. Doesn't matter if the Democrats are doing it or the Republicans, or in terms of expanding government, it's who's going to be in charge. who's going to run the show. That's what it's all about. Now, she urges the Republican colleagues to vote yes. All right, now, the committee's ranking Democrat, John Yarmouth, Democrat from Kentucky, used the CBO's report to urge his Republican colleagues to vote no. I don't know what else needs to be said when 24 million people will lose their health care coverage if we pass this bill. Now, he then says the same thing Nancy Pelosi says. This is an ideological document that Republicans are rushing through the House so that they wouldn't have to talk about it. What? Does that remind you of anything? Like Obamacare, perhaps? All right, now, there's been no congressional hearings on this legislation. Oh my God. But here's my point, guys. Taking facts and skewing them to say something that they don't. I pointed this out to you yesterday. CBO says 14 million people will lose coverage in 2018. Lose meaning choose not to buy it because the mandate is over. The no mandate that forces them to buy it. The 10 million, additional 10 million by 2026 is what? A projected number of people that could buy it but won't. So we'll have 26 million, and it goes on, and they build on that number. So I just want you to again, how you can just hear something and think that they're saying one thing, but now not. Okay? We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll get in a little bit more here. We got some other things we want to talk about regarding Paul Ryan. He has not escaped our attention. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
The Strident Conservative, exposing liberals one lie at a time.
Hello, America. This is David Leach, the Strident Conservative. In a new report issued by the United Nations, it has been determined that Israel is guilty of apartheid when it comes to how they deal with the Palestinians. United Nations has developed a history of anti-Israel sentiment, which reached a troubling level during Obama's final days in office when he orchestrated a UN resolution condemning Israel for legally building so-called settlements in the West Bank. Shortly after the election, Donald Trump appeared to pivot away from his commitment to develop the strongest platform on Israel, quote, ever developed in the history of America, end quote. This display of capitulation by the Trump administration is troubling. In fact, it could be an early indication of a potential foreign policy disaster, according to Conservative Review senior editor Daniel Horowitz. In a piece he wrote recently, Horowitz provides 6 warning signs of Trump's policy failures, including sending his top lawyer, Jason Greenblatt, to the Middle East to pressure Netanyahu into halting construction, Trump's embrace of the PLO, and his decision to meet with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to promote the so-called two-state solution. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, an advocate of the two-state solution and a supporter of the ban on building, has kept several members of John Kerry's policy team. Trump has kept Obama's National Security Council advisor, Yael Lampert, to handle Israel policy. And he has placed Saher Naurizadeh, the Iran director for Obama's National Security Council, on his policy planning staff. This person was instrumental in the Iran nuke deal. And finally, Defense Secretary James Mattis. He's pro-Palestinian and has used the word apartheid when describing Israel. He tried to add Obama's Egyptian ambassador Ann Patterson to his staff. Though that effort failed, it should be noted that Patterson has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. If you have a comment on this topic, visit stridentconservative.com.
Hey folks, John Matthews here from the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, the Conservative Syndicate. The debate regarding who should be accredited with defining insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results lends to its own insanity. Whether Albert Einstein, Ben Franklin, or Rita Mae Brown coined the adage or not, its meaning is as true as the fact the sun will rise and set tomorrow. In much the same fashion, citizens across our great republic today are debating whether or not it is time to change course regarding the accepted established norms of our political system. Is it time to create a new party or continue to expect different results after electing the same people keeping our current system? Partisanship, corruption, and a desire to maintain power for the sake of power by those we elect, reinforced by decades of empty promises trotted out each election cycle but never fulfilled, has left America frustrated, angry, and rebellious to degrees not seen since the Civil War. The only viable solution is to quit adhering to the insanity of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This is why the Conservative Party USA exists. The Conservative Party USA arose during the Tea Party Rebellion in 2010. It seeks to rectify the insanity that defines the consistent failures and corruption of the current two-party system by nominating and supporting candidates who are committed to imposing the conservative principles of fiscal discipline, restraining the reach of the federal government as outlined in the Constitution, and defending America's traditional family values. If you're tired of witnessing the insanity that dominates our political system, check us out at conservativepartyusa.org. That's conservativepartyusa.org.
That America must put its own citizens first, because only then can we truly make America great again.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Now, I was just talking here before the break about the Obamacare replacement plan, making it through the Budget Committee today. Very slim margin. 3 of the Republicans on the committee chose not to vote for it. It's a he and a han back and forth, and as it works its way up the ranks here, we'll see where it ends up at and what it looks like when they finally get done with it. But I had mentioned that the idea that this is part of the narrative. The reason I brought up the statement by one of the Democratic committee members that we were going to that was going to remove 24 million people from the insurance rolls, they were going to lose it. It's a skewing of words, as liberals can only do. And that is what it's saying is, or what the CBO is telling us, yes, we're going to lose all these people, but it'll be voluntary. They're going to choose not to get it. And that's quite a difference from losing it to choosing not to have it. But that's one of the points of the narrative. And when we get later into the show, as I reiterate to you what the narrative is going to be over the next several months as we go through this process, you have to learn to recognize it and then be able to respond to it. That's why I'm spending so much time. Not so much just tell you what. I want to try to give you something you can use to respond to it. And that's my goal here. That's my intent. All right. But before we do that, because we got other things we want to talk about today also, I want to go back to the agencies and the budget cut here. I want to mention 3 or 4 of them here real quick, because I want to get into this topic that's surfacing around Paul Ryan. And there's a couple different threads of this idea that because of Obamacare, there are some people thinking this guy should really hardcore step down because of what he's trying to do here. Now, I was looking through some of these agencies that are going to be cut here. The one that caught my eye, there's several of them that caught my eye, but here's one that caught my eye. The McGovern-Dole International Food for Education Program. All right, I looked that up. The McGovern-Dole International Food for Education and Child Nutrition Program helps support education, child development, and food security for low-income, food-deficit countries around the globe. All right, welfare, global welfare, I guess. We're out there feeding. You know, I understand the compassion behind this stuff. I'm not a discompassionate person. I understand that we can do things and we can do more to maybe help those in need in other countries, but not through the government. That's why we have charities. That's why that's what most big churches do. The one thing
John, that's what the Quitting Global Initiative is for.
Yeah, exactly. That's just what I was thinking when I was reading this. I'm like, the only thing missing is, maybe throwing something in there about the Haiti earthquake. Okay? But this is one aspect of what the Clinton Foundation, one aspect, because I got a couple more here for you. But this is like maybe Bill Clinton saw all these things and said, hey, man, I can throw this all into one pot and make a ton of money, which he did, all right? So global welfare. We're going to go out and feed and educate children around the globe. I'm all for doing that kind of stuff, but it belongs in the hands of private citizens who want to give to such organizations, not using taxpayer dollars, which are taken from us unwillingly and unwillingly. We give it unwillingly. We're forced to do it. We're forced to give to Caesar what is Caesar's, that kind of thing. Now, then the other one here caught my eye. The Overseas Private Investment Corporation, OPIC, the U.S. government's development finance institution, mobilizes private capital to help solve critical development challenges, and in doing so, advances U.S. foreign policy. Now, what is that? It sounds like another branch of the Clinton Foundation. Doesn't it, Joe? We're using private sector money to influence other nations and to advance U.S. foreign policy.
I thought that's what the United Nations was for.
Well, yeah, but that sounds even closer to me to the Clinton Foundation, a description of what they were doing. All right? Private corporations giving money to the Clinton Foundation to do what? Make the world a better place. All right? Why are we doing that? Why are our taxpayers doing this? Private capital? And then so our taxpayer dollars are doing what? Are going to pay to run this agency that is channeling money into foreign entities? Why can't the private sector do that by itself?
Yeah, the one that caught my eye is because it's, one of my most favorite progressives was the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars.
Oh, yeah, I have that one, too. That caught my eye, too. Boy, you talk about globalism.
Okay, it says, chartered by Congress as an official memorial to President Woodrow Wilson, is the nation's key nonpartisan policy forum for tackling global issues through independent research and open dialogue to inform actionable ideas for the policy community.
That's fancy language for saying globalism.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. A living memorial, a gathering place for some of the best and brightest scholars and experts from around the world. Now, it's a global think tank. That's what it is. It's a globalist think tank.
Yeah, the Wilson Center is a place that has a strong culture of social, moral, and intellectual support. It seems hard to imagine that such a place exists, and I am honored to have lived the dream. Keep it going. We certainly need it to write, think, and excel. I'm all wow. Associate Professor of Women's Studies.
Wow.
University of Michigan.
Now,
hello to the Women's Studies Department. Yeah, there you go. There's a useless degree.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes.
Here's one that I just find totally redundant. The United States Institute of Peace. United States Institute of Peace. I went to the website. Who we are. The U.S. Institute of Peace was created by Congress in 1984 as an independent, nonpartisan national institute dedicated to the proposition that peace is possible, practical, and essential for U.S. and global security. What do? They prevent, mitigate, and resolve violent conflict. The U.S. Institute.
What the hell is the UN supposed to do?
Well, even better than that. Just hear me out here. The U.S. Institute of Peace provides people, organizations, and governments at every level with analysis, education, and resources to manage conflict so it doesn't become violent.
Okay, so one of the things I heard today, speaking of peace, all those peacekeeping forces that the UN goes and sends throughout the world that perpetuates the conflict, whether it be Somalia or wherever the UN peacekeeping forces are at, we have to go ahead and give like 25% of that to keep those things alive. We budget like 25% of that. So it's like, really, why are we doing that at all? Let's cut that back down to like 3%. And let's not have all those anymore, because what the hell are they doing? They're still, they're having you got a peacekeeping force here in Uganda. Oh, gee, really? You've been there for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, see, that's my point.
You maybe get to a point where you're no longer needed there.
Hey, here's the idea. If this organization was any way efficient, you would think that the world would be a more peaceful place. It hasn't been this radical since World War II, for crying out loud.
Yeah, maybe they should have stayed home last summer and stopped all the riots.
Well, maybe all this money that's going into the National Institute of Peace should go where it really goes, our National Institute of Peace, which is called the Defense Department. All right, that's how you keep peace.
And it just might, according to President Trump's budget, because he wants to increase the DOD's budget, the largest increase since Ronald Reagan.
Right, exactly, and rightfully so. So those are just some of the things that Donald Trump wants to eliminate. Like I said, the list here, I don't know, it's got to be close to 50 agencies here that he's just saying, basically, I want to just cut these all together. We just need to get rid of these things. I mean, it's just, block grants all over the place. National and Community Service, Corporation for National and Community Service. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
It's the Denali Commission. Denali? Is that a country?
No, it's a mountain in Alaska.
Okay. Essential Air Service Program? Come on. Institute of Museum and Library Services? I don't know. U.S. Trade...
maybe they're improving the Dewey Decimal System.
NASA's Office of Education? Yeah. National Endowment for the Humanities? Yeah, I'm all for that. Get rid of that. National Endowment for the Arts? Yeah, let's get rid of that. You know, over here where I live 2 blocks away from a major junior college out here in California, Cerritos Junior College. And they just spent a ton of money taking one section of their parking lot and creating a liberal arts center. And as I watch this thing go up, it is now the most occupied building in the entire campus. The Liberal Arts Center. That means everybody who's going to learn how to be a rapper is getting...
No, that's where you study about women's studies.
Well, it's also where you learn how to be... you get into the entertainment industry. That's the big thing out here, you know. So, anyway...
that's where you go to rhyme like a third grader.
Yeah, that's right. Because you see all these kids crossing the street with their drawing boards and their guitars, you know, and they've all got their iPod headsets on. You know, they're just on their way to a bigger and better education. All right, on the taxpayer dime, by the way, in most cases. So, yeah, the community colleges out here are almost entirely funded by taxpayer dollars. All right, so that's some of the stuff that Donald Trump wants to do with the budget here. Now, taking that and going into, let's get into our conversation here about Obamacare.
Yeah, well,
Paul Ryan.
Here.
Yeah, what's happening here? See, the narrative that's coming down the pipe here, is that Donald Trump is failing miserably at what he's doing. Okay? He's just failing. And why is it a rolling disaster? Because everything he's done is what the American people don't want. How the hell did this guy get elected if he's doing everything that nobody wants? Everything he promised, he's trying to do pretty much everything he's promised to do, and yet nobody likes it. Think about that just for a moment, okay? The polls are showing, he's at, a 51% disapproval rate? Give me a freaking break. All right? It seems like the more things get advanced here in terms of what he throws out there and what he's trying to do, the higher these numbers get, the people are disapproving of him.
Yeah, well, this is the same polls that said he wasn't going to win either.
Yeah. Yeah, the same measure, the same skewing, everything else that goes along with that. But we're going to get into something here with the Obamacare thing. I want to entertain Joe's thought process here about Paul Ryan, because I really believe that the American people at this point in time are being sold another bill of goods. This, to me, is the equivalent of Obama trying to cram Obamacare down the American people's throat. I see it in the same light with Paul Ryan. He's trying to cram this thing down here, so what? So that they can say they did something. But what they're doing is maintaining the status quo, government involvement in our healthcare system. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Are you behind on your taxes? The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote at 800-790-4294. 800-790-4294.
You know, sometimes when you compare prices on products, you think to yourself, what difference does it make? The rates are all about the same anyway. But sometimes the rates are very different. Let me give you an example where there's a huge difference in pricing between companies. Vehicle protection plans. Look, if your car is 4 years or older, having a vehicle protection plan is a no-brainer. The trick is not to overpay for it. Here are the facts. The average price of a vehicle protection plan is $2,800, while the price of a TOCO warranty vehicle protection plan for most vehicles is just $1,500. The average down payment on a vehicle protection plan is $299. With TOCO warranty, there's no down payment. The average monthly payment on a vehicle protection plan is more than $160 a month. With TOCO, the average monthly payment is just $49. To get a highly rated vehicle protection plan at a great low rate, call TOCO Warranty at 1-800-987-1519. That's 1-800-987-1519. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for MyPillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. MyPillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable MyPillow is with its patented interlocking fill. MyPillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. MyPillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. MyPillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. MyPillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code RedState. That's 1-800-961-9194, promo code RedState. Put sleepless nights behind you with MyPillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Are you struggling with addiction or alcohol problems? If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help, and your insurance may offer coverage.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573, 800-518-1573. 800-518-1573.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction Hope and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573. 800-518-1573.
Red State Talk Radio. Real radio for real Americans.
My job is not to represent the world. My job is to represent the United States of America.
Am I not speaking English? The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American.
Well, all right. Hey, thanks for sticking around, folks. Welcome back to the show. Joe Hakos here on the Conservative Syndicate, along with the Mad Prophet, John Matthews. And we've been talking a little bit. We're trying to set this thing up about the Ryan Care, the replacements for Obamacare. And we've been talking about this for a little bit about the last few days about this going on. And so I want to read just one short paragraph right now before to kind of set this all up about Paul Ryan. And this is from a piece from the Washington Post, why the Trump presidency is such a rolling disaster, right? And this is the one part, and this talks about Ryan and what's going on here and what this is setting up to look like. And we got I got another clip here real quick to play about this, and I think it's time for Ryan to go. And some other thing people seem to think the same thing. Basically, it talks about, hey, Republicans may have had no choice but to pursue the repeal of the ACA, Obamacare, right off the bat. But they could have hardly gone about it in a less competent way. After 7 years attacking the law, but they still hadn't settled on their alternative, leading to a hastily written plan that not only would create a healthcare catastrophe if implemented, but also managed to win the displeasure of their members, both in the Senate and the House. Now, the White House is saying it's Paul Ryan's fault. Ryan is trying to make Trump share the blame, and the whole thing is spiraling downward. Rich Lowry, the editor at the Conservative National Review, writes that the repeal bill has, quote unquote, has had the worst rollout of any major piece of legislation in memory and has left the GOP staring into the abyss. Now, it says a hastily written plan. Paul Ryan has said he's been working on this for 25 flipping years, okay? 25 years Mr. Ryan's been working on this. Hastily written, they've had 7 years to figure it out. In fact, last year, in 2016, they threw a bill on Barack Obama's desk and said, here, we want to repeal it. And, of course, he vetoed it. So, hello. This thrown up here, this is what Ryan wants. And as John was saying before, this is the kind of sort of thing that Ryan's doing right now just to make things interesting for Donald Trump. Because, well, we know how much Paul Ryan loves Donald Trump. Or does he really love Donald Trump? I think Mr. Ryan is trying to set President Trump up for failure. Why do I say that? Well, we should just let Ryan's own words speak for themselves. I have here a piece. This is Lou Dobbs from a couple of days ago. And Mr. Dobbs says this quite well, and I have been of this sentiment for quite a while now, because John Boehner version 2.0 is exactly that. We need to have John go. It's time to have Paul Ryan go. Here's Mr. Dobbs right now.
Your thoughts now on Speaker Ryan and his leadership. Speaker Ryan's disdain for President Trump during the election season, certainly no secret. The Speaker in October vowed to no longer defend the Republican nominee. And now Breitbart obtaining audio of the Speaker slamming Mr. Trump during that conference call with House Republicans.
I am not going to defend Donald Trump. Not now, not in the future. Look, you guys know I have real concerns with our nominee. I hope you appreciate that I'm doing what I think is best for you, the members, not what's best for me.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody appreciated that. what's best for House Republicans, not himself. That's laughable. Perhaps he meant what's best for his donors, corporate interests, banks, health insurers. At the time, I said Ryan seemed hell-bound on destroying the Republican Party. That back in October. And that he had no concept of unity or his responsibility as Speaker. It was actually worse than that. He was determined to destroy Donald Trump. And now, 5 months later, I believe the Speaker is in the exact same place as he faces opposition from dozens of conservatives in the House and other conservative groups as well on his plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. A new PPP poll conducted in Ryan's home state of Wisconsin. In that district, finding more voters oppose Ryan Care than favor the legislation. That's in his home district. That same poll also showing more voters in Ryan's hometown have a favorable opinion of President Trump than they do of Speaker Ryan. Ryan's achieved next to nothing since he became Speaker a year and a half ago. He had achieved next to nothing in his entire career before becoming Speaker. And he's worked against his party's presidential nominee, and he has lost. He put forward a mantra instead of policies. He lost again. And yes, that's right. As a vice presidential nominee of his party, he and Mitt Romney also lost. It is time for his party, if not the Speaker himself, to recognize his limitations, his decidedly poor judgment, and poor prospects for in any way finding a better way. I believe it's time for Ryan to vacate the Speaker's office in the interest of his party and, in fact, the nation.
Yeah, I don't really care about the party, but the nation I do really care about. And yes, if we allow this to go through, as written right now, I don't care what Trump's been out there telling everybody, this is not going to work well for him. And I don't know how John wants to go ahead and roll the other parts of our discussion into this. But right now, this is a trap that's been laid for President Trump right now, and it's called Ryan Care, Rhino Care, Obamacare Light. I don't care what you call it, but it's not what Republican voters, it's not what Democrat voters, for that, mind you, that voted for Republicans this last time around, have voted people in for. These people, when he's talking, when Dobbs was talking about his district, Ryan's district is mostly Democrat, and they don't like what's going on. So Ryan needs to go. Trump needs to understand this guy is not his friend, wants to see him fail, and he will fail if he allows this health care bill to go through the way it is right now.
You know, I would only add one thing here before we get into some of the further evidence that we have here. I mentioned last week, I think very briefly, about an article that came out of a group called Quora. I think I mentioned it within the context. I had joined this. It's kind of like a forum, you know, and I joined it, and I've had some fun with it. I've been able to respond to some people that have asked some questions. Some of them I think are traps. But anyway, the point being is that the article that was they were talking about, or the article that I was addressing here, is look to the Republicans to lead the Trump opposition. We know that we knew that the Democrats were going to do what they did, and they have been doing, and will continue to do. They're going to try to delegitimize anything. I think Joe said this the other day. Donald Trump could come out and say, let's replace Obamacare with single-payer system. And the Democrats would say, we can't do that. You know, even though that's where they want to go. And that's what they want to end up with. In fact, maybe tomorrow I'll touch on this briefly. Out here in California, Gavin Newsom has just introduced initial legislation to do just that, to create a single-payer system out here, California's own Medicaid system at taxpayer expense. We're going to pay for everybody's health care out here, whether they're undocumented or not. That's what's in the pipeline right now. This is going to be the model for what the Democrats really want to do. But the question was asked, who is the de facto leader of the opposition for the Trump administration 2017? The response is, the two men who will largely determine the course of the Trump administration are Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. I mentioned earlier to you, Mitch McConnell's already bucking the idea of pulling money out of the State Department that goes out in foreign aid. There's a reason for that. He has foreign interests. He has a lot of interest over in China. I don't know if we give money to China, but that's not the point. If you're feeding all the other international communities, China is going to benefit from that. So having said that, knowing that Trump has literally, virtually no friends in Washington. Obama at least had the progressives that think like him. The number of people that think like Donald Trump, you could probably count on one hand, and that's including people on his staff and people in his cabinet. I don't think a lot of them think like Donald Trump. I think I heard a comment today that the idea was somebody said to Paul Ryan, Donald Trump just seems so unorthodox. And Ryan admitted, he goes, he is unorthodox. Now, that was supposed to be a compliment, but you know that that's not what Paul Ryan was meaning. He's saying, yeah, this guy's against all of us. It's us against Trump, you know? And he's got the public, and we've got to wrestle that away from him. And so
he's got the American people, and we can't have that because we're beholden to lobbyists and special interests and other people that are going to pay for our campaign funds. Yeah, that's who we're beholden to, not the actual people that vote for us. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I'm hearing some rumblings out there that there is somewhere in this mix. I'm hearing some rumblings that Trump may be taking a second look at this whole thing, and maybe start assessing, as he said, one beautiful big fat negotiation. Let's see where that leads. But having said that, this idea that Paul Ryan is setting Donald Trump up for failure, because remember what this is about. It's really a gamble if you think about it, because if the Republicans do not repeal Obamacare, and if they do have to replace it, and they don't replace it with something more like Rand Paul's plan, which is very simple, the Senate and the House majorities are up for grabs.
Oh, yes.
And so Paul Ryan might be risking losing these majorities. But then
that's what we need to talk about after the break, John. We need to talk about just that after the break. And that's part of that other piece that we got here. That's exactly what we're talking about there. So we should take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll finish that. We'll finish that thought. So we'll be right back after this break.
Since its founding, America has always been admired and envied throughout the world for its system of government, one that empowers its citizens to seek their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No other country or nation in history has benefited from its diversity simply due to the opportunities available to anyone from anywhere. But there have been and are those who envy our freedom for a very different reason. And today we find ourselves as never before being threatened by this formidable foe intent on our destruction. For this reason, Act for America exists. Act for America is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots national security organization with over 300,000 members and 1,000 chapters focused on educating, engaging, and mobilizing citizens and elected officials to impact legislative outcomes to protect America against terrorism both here and abroad. As a result, our network has driven the education process toward the successful passage of 43 bills in 22 states. We continue to expand our nationwide volunteer chapter network, training citizens to recognize and help prevent criminal activity and terrorism in the United States while preserving the civil liberties protected by the United States Constitution. To find out more, check us out at actforamerica.org. That's actforamerica.org. And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right, folks, welcome back. Joe Hayco's here with John Matthews here in the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, remember, please go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, where you can check out the archives and you can find out about our panel members and everything we got going on there. So check it out today or tomorrow or whenever, because the weekend's a good time. And do it with a friend or people you really don't like. Like maybe you got that liberal little relative punk cousin of yours that you need to go ahead and educate. Take them to our site, theconservativesyndicate.net. You'll be glad that you went there, especially if you took your relatives to it. Okay, hey, we're talking about Ryan and his plan and this healthcare thing and why it's so horrendous and why hopefully President Trump is not playing around. I mean, he's just giving us the old head fake here, going, yeah, I know this is what Ryan wants, but it's not what I want, what the American people want. And talking about that, and I know John was going to bring this up, but I found a piece here written by Chris Reynolds at the Conservative 101. It's a Trap for Trump. Laura Ingraham exposes what sneaky Paul Ryan is hiding in the health care bill. And he was talking about Tom Cotton, again, a senator from Arkansas that John is starting to like. And so and just this piece here talks about Laura Ingraham is not fooled by Paul Ryan. She understands the full reality of how difficult crafting the right Obamacare replacement is. She recently revealed to the top that the trapped for Trump and the Republicans that's in Paul Ryan's health care reform effort. Now, okay, so we're talking about this, and Senator Tom Cotton appeared on this. And if you've listened to Paul Ryan discuss this thing, John, how does he describe it? He's described this as this is like a three-pronged attack or three-phase attack. Is that correct? Do you remember hearing those things from him?
Yeah, it was supposed to be 3 phases, I think is a phrase they're using.
Yeah, 3 phases. And you and I have both been pretty much and the thing's been, why do you have to have 3 phases? And Ryan's, well, it's part of the reconciliation because it's a budgetary item and we don't need to have 60 votes in the Senate to make this happen. We just need to have the 51, a simple majority, because this is a budgetary process kind of thing, and getting all wonky and stupid on us. And it's like, look, dude, you don't have to do it that way. You can do it however the hell you want. You have control of both houses of Congress, and you own the White House. You can do it however you want. So that being said, Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas appeared on Laura's program and said that Phase 3 of Ryan's bill is a quote-unquote fantasy. Ingraham concurred, saying it's never going to happen because Republicans will lose this narrative on all these people losing health care. She also added, make the Democrats defend the status quo, where health care prices go up, up, up every year because of the medical monopoly set up by the government. I added that part. And that, in my view, is a better way to go. It forces the Democrats to defend their untenable system.
Yeah, when you think about it, that is what Donald Trump floated out here when the process first began. Didn't he say, if you ask me, we should just leave it in place for the next couple of years and let it implode? And then and everybody, well, we can't. That's not for the good of the American people. Well, if we implement this Ryan Care, that's not really for the good of the American people either.
Yeah, so, and speaking of imploding, Ingram concluded by stating that state budgets are going to implode when this Medicaid expansion starts to retreat. I think Donald Trump is going to get caught on this in 2020. I think there's a trap set for him on this. I'd like to spend an hour talking to him about it. I think there's a trap set for Trump, and it's going to be bad. Yeah, in the last piece that Mr. Reynolds asked, do you agree with Laura Ingraham? I totally agree with Laura Ingraham. We've been saying this for quite a while here.
Yeah. So now, how will this trap be sprung? It'll be sprung through the here's the plan. What is the plan? The plan by the Republicans is to what? Give grants to the states, block grants to the states, and allow the states to do their own thing. That's the plan. The problem is
do their own thing, but like Ingraham says, the states' budgets are going to start to implode. They won't be able to afford it either.
Yeah, because how many of them are? We started out when Obamacare was implemented. We had 27 states out of the 50.
Yeah,
had chose to have state exchanges. Yeah. As of today, my last count, the last time I looked, there are 12 exchanges left.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 12 or 13. Yeah.
And those some of those are in danger because the providers are pulling out.
Yeah, how many of these health insurance providers are no longer working with the exchanges anymore because they couldn't afford to do it?
Right, and that's where we got the narrative about several counties throughout the country that just only have one provider. Some of them have no providers. And so now you're going to give a block grant to a state and say, okay, you set up your healthcare exchanges, and we're giving you the borders. We're taking down the borders. We're going to make this more competitive. You go ahead and do that. The bureaucracy in that alone is going to raise the cost. The money won't be going to healthcare. It'll be going to the bureaucracies to run it, to try to implement it.
So these will be just slightly different medical monopolies, but the same thing. And there'll be monopolies created by government. Once again, you're setting Trump up for failure on this. This is not the way to do it. And to say that, this was hastily put together is a bunch of bunk. They had 7 years. They provided a repeal bill before. Oh, but they didn't want to do it. And I understand what Trump was saying. Obamacare will explode on its own. It'll just fail on its own. But how many people will be hurt by letting it do it that way? I understand what he's trying to do here, but
here's a bit.
Have it help.
Here's the elephant in the room. Paul Ryan has to know that by pushing Ryan Care, that he is endangering the majorities. Why is that not being thought through?
Because Ryan knows he'll get reelected no matter what.
So we're right back to square one. It doesn't matter if we lose the White House. Paul Ryan will get reelected. Mitch McConnell will get reelected. All the people that are running for the globalists and doing the work of the globalists, they'll all get reelected, and we're right back to square one. We've got
Absolutely. And the worst thing about that is they will lose the majorities in the Senate and the House. And guess what else they'll lose? Any other opportunities to put an additional conservative-minded Supreme Court justice on the Supreme Court. We will lose that opportunity. With Trump in there, we have an opportunity to change that court for 2 generations.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing we can hope at this point in this first term, I really hope Trump doesn't fall for this.
Yep.
Is that he gets at least 2 appointments. Okay, we know he's got 1. Yeah. Now, I don't know how long that's going to happen here because obviously the Democrats want to delay that process because this travel restriction executive orders are going to end up in the Supreme Court. They want that 4-4 split so that everything goes back to the lower courts if the 4-4 comes out 4-4 tie. Okay, they don't want that conservative on the bench just yet. So I don't know how they're going to delay that, but you'd be damn sure they're going to try. But let's hope sometime in the next 4 years, Ruth Ginsburg, is after a glass of wine passes out and never comes back. All right.
Yeah. God rest her soul. She ain't gone yet. But, the call should be to get rid of Ryan. Just like we had to get rid of Boehner. Ryan needs to go. Just like Mr. Dobbs said, he's done nothing in his time there, nothing of substance. This guy needs to go. Yeah. He's not worried about anything but himself. He's a joke.
You think of it. Just think about the comparisons real quick here to somebody like a Barack Obama and Paul Ryan. People that rise up through the ranks with absolutely accomplishing nothing, but rise up through the ranks. It happens. It happens. All you got to be is a lapdog. All you got to be is a yes man. All you got to be, you just yes, whatever you want.
You're talking about Pelosi principle. Well, there you go. There's the Peter principle right there.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping the signal today with the 3 Republicans on the budget committee kicking this thing out, going, no, we're not buying it, that we get, by the time it does reach the Senate, we're almost at that place where it's going to go to the Senate, then we've got our stalwarts in it. We got Rand Paul,
it's got to go through the House floor first, John, so it's still not over. So people still need to get on their phones and on their emails and let their people know, no to the Ryan Care. No.
Yeah, the argument to our elected officials have to be right now, Trump may go down because of this, but you're going to go down with him. That has to be the mantra. You guys don't do what we elected Donald Trump to do. If you stand against him, you do not support him, you do not do what we want, then you are going to pay the price as well as Donald Trump.
Yep.
Okay, that has to be the mantra. Okay, guys, we're done for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. And I forget. Oh, yeah, we'll get David Leach from Strident Conservative. Bob Cardoso will be calling in. He's out of town still. He'll be calling in. So God bless you. We love you. Visit our website, the Conservative Syndicate. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hayco, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.
Thank you.